All right, everyone, let's go ahead and get started. This is business office training for Workday. As everyone should be aware, by this point, Workday is going live soon. We've had a lot of great HR trainings out there, and this is our first training dedicated to business office tasks that a lot of the college will be doing in Workday. I'm going to share just a quick agenda here. So first we'll begin with introductions, and we'll kind of go into a Workday overview, make sure that we're all on the same page, level set regarding where to go, where to find things, how to bookmark it. And then we'll talk today specifically about expense reports and spend authorizations. We will also explain what that means. With Workday, we do have some new terminology that we'll be using. And it's not going to necessarily replace the old technology or terminology, but we definitely want to get folks familiar with expense reports and spend authorizations as we move into the new system. And then, in addition to how to create expense reports or authorizations, you will get a preview for supervisors on how to review those and approve them. And then we're also going to find some additional resources. I will show you where they're located on our Unity sites, on our SharePoint. And then those resources will also be sent to you by email immediately after our session today. So first of all, I want you to all be aware this is, of course, a Zoom meeting. We are recording currently. You will have the ability to ask questions. You can insert them into the chat. You can also raise your hand and we can call on you, live Q&A. So during each session, we're going to, of course, cover how to submit those expense types. We'll demo it. We'll do a bit of a Q&A. Then when we get to the supervisor section, we'll cover those topics. We will do a demo, and then we'll also do live Q&A. So there will be a couple different times to get questions answered if you have questions. First of all, I'd like to introduce myself as well as individuals from the business office team who will be joining us. My name is Sarah Brooke. I've been at the college since July. I was hired as part of the Workday modernization effort to provide support in terms of documentation, training, and then also how to communicate and help the college understand what is new with Workday and how to use Workday. I'd also like to introduce the business office team, specifically individuals in the purchasing and procurement office, beginning with KT.
Hello, everybody. KT Nelson. I'm the Director of Administrative Services here at MCC. I've worked here for about 4 years. So procurement and accounts payable are under me, and then other kind non-academic departments like central store, shipping and receiving, the auctions, the print shop. So if you have any questions, you can always reach out to me or any of those people that work with me.
Excellent, thank you. Next, we have Hope.
Hello, name is Hope. Purchasing department, been here for about 20 years or so. I do the purchasing. We do order P cards, train on that. And pretty much that's what I do.
All right, thanks, Hope.
You're welcome.
Also, we have Carol joining us.
Hi, I'm Carol Reifenrath. I work side by side with Hope, and she does a lot more things than she just said. So I maintain the vendors. They are called suppliers in Workday. Facilitate the procurement process, order and replace Canon copiers, and order the removals, P-card ordering, maintaining, keeper of the W-9s, the Form 13s and Form 17. Facilitate the bid processing and take care of some of the Amazon approvals.
Thank you, Carol. Appreciate it and appreciate you all being here. And last but not least, we have Jordan.
Hello, my name is Jordan Bang. I've been here for 2.5 years. I take care of all of your travel authorizations, reimbursements, non-employee reimbursements, um, P cards, and yeah, I believe that's about it.
All right. So I want everyone to be aware, these are our subject matter experts from the business office who have been deeply involved in the process of modernizing as we move from the older systems into Workday. So they've been part of informing that process and helping us get to some good business processes and best practices for their areas. So I'm going to just go over a little bit first on what we are looking at when we talk about the training tenant. First, we'll use, okay, hold on. I'm going to try to get my slides in the right order here. So there are a couple different areas where you can view slides. One is through the window inside. All right, I'm going to stop and reshare. Okay, we'll get this going in the right order here. Okay, so we're going to start showing you the Workday training tenant. Definitely highly recommend, if you have not checked out this environment yet, definitely recommend that you get in there, find yourself, practice with your teams, make sure you have access. And this environment is actually going to be available to MCC for at least 60 days after we go live in the business office on April 1st. An additional FYI, if you have already downloaded the current version of the Workday mobile app, we are asking that you remove that from your phone, from your mobile device, and then after go live, downloading our final version of the Workday mobile app. If you have that on your phone currently, it will be the training environment. So instructions are live on the Workday Training and Resources site on Unity as to how to make that happen. But definitely recommend that you all go in there with your teams and practice. Check out the expenses and reimbursements and spend authorizations areas so that we can all be on the same page. So you can have like some live examples. You can't break anything, but you will be in there as yourselves. But just a caveat on the training tenant, that is old data that was live as of probably a couple of weeks ago. So it may not be current, but you as the person that you are at MCC, you'll be in there, you'll be able to have access. You'll be able to send spend requests to your supervisors and see how that process works. And do not worry, it's not going to affect anything that is currently live in our final Workday tenant. I'm also going to take you through just quickly where to find Workday, where it will be located, making sure that you all use Unity, have access to Unity, and also use Workday. I'll maybe even take you through that process if you need that sort of refresher on how to bookmark it so that it's super easy to find every day when you get to work. All right, so from here, we will be taking a look at some very specific business office tasks today. There's a lot of tasks out there, both on the HR side and on the business office side. We're going to focus in very specifically on expenses and reimbursements. And what that means is for any reimbursements for things that you have already paid for, maybe out of pocket, those will be covered today. We'll show you how to upload that in the system. We'll also cover quickly how to do a mileage reimbursement. That's probably going to be a super common one at MCC. And then we'll also take a look at what a spend authorization is. So these authorizations are any time you are wanting to request approval for travel prior to accruing any expenses. So those are known as TAs, of course, at MCC, or travel authorizations. That'll probably take us maybe the first hour or so up to 2 o'clock. But if we get done early, we will move into the specific supervisor area and we'll show you what that looks like. So within Workday, all of these tasks that you will be creating will get sent directly over to your supervisor, and then we'll take a look to see what that looks like in Workday. So I'm going to stop sharing the slides and I am going to move over to our browser. And I'm not sure what you all use here at the college. I am kind of a fan of Google Chrome. The process looks very, very similar. If you are using, let's see, if you are using a version of a Microsoft browser like Edge or Firefox, I know that those are two pretty commonly used browsers at MCC. So here is what my screen looks like in Google Chrome. So I'm going to enter initially just the browser screen. Whatever browser you open, it will populate to the MCC page. You're going to click Login as a faculty staff person. If you are on an MCC system, on an MCC computer, your identity will automatically be recognized and you will be able to have access. So it should take you directly here. And then when you click Login Faculty Staff, it will take you to Unity. So I definitely recommend clicking this little star. It will look very similar no matter what browser you're using. I recommend adding to your bar. It'll either say toolbar, bookmarks bar, etc. And then when you open a new web page, your links will be here. So I already have those linked up. From our Unity main page, I want you to click Apps. This little drop-down arrow will give you all of your apps. Workday starts with a W, so it will be all the way at the bottom. So from here, I want you to select the training environment. So for this next week and a half, you will only have access, you only see access to the Workday training environment. So once you have clicked that open, you may need to go through, the first time you bring it up for the day, you may need to go through authentication. And then this is what your main screen will look like. We are calling this, Workday calls this our home screen. Everything you need is accessible just from this one home screen. So this is me when I'm logging in. And I'm going to actually be using some training examples and some different roles that we have already set up. One thing you can do if you're needing to access the app for the expenses and reimbursements, click menu, and then click add, and then search for expenses. And the expenses hub will populate. This is the one location that we'll need today for your creating those authorizations and those spend transactions. So I'm going to hit the plus sign. And once I do that, it will be included in my apps. So you can access your apps from here. And then you can also access them at the main page. If you go here to your top apps, these will automatically display. So I'm going to take you into our training environment. This is an individual who we are calling Piper Dog. This individual is a custodian and his manager or supervisor is Donald Duck. So for Piper Dog, we have his expense hub here. We're going to enter the expense hub. And then the first thing we're going to take a look at is creating a spend authorization. So for the spend authorizations, these are, again, upcoming travel events that you'll want to get authorization for from your supervisor. So when clicking a spend authorization, it will bring you to this main screen here. All of this information populates to your current role and the current date. So if you're going to take a trip in the future, the start date and end date, you will adjust those. And Piper is a member of an organization called the IAPP, and he's going to take this trip in March to, once my picture loads, he's going to attend this Global Privacy Summit in Washington, D.C. in April. So we're putting in those dates. From April 21st, that's your start date. Your end date will be April 24th. Description is IAPP Summit. Business purpose. So here are all of your options for travel. Local travel is going to be something very commonly used, probably between campuses or for other events. International travel, we know that doesn't get used that often, but it is an available option. Long distance travel, anywhere in the United States. So we're going to select long distance travel since we're going to DC. So for a spend authorization line and attachment, these will be pieces of information that you'll want to have. Attachments are not required prior to submitting this sort of spend authorization, but we're going to go ahead and select, since we have it for this event, we're going to go ahead and select that IAPP event information. And then you can see here it's successfully uploaded. If you grab the wrong file, you can easily hit this trash can and that will go away. And then you can re-upload. You can also upload an additional item if needed here. But we're not going to do that at this time, but that is available if needed. You can upload pretty much any type of file. Here I uploaded a image file, it could be a JPEG, it could be a PDF, it could be a Word document. So pretty much any type of file you need should be accessible here. For the spend authorization line, that's where we will put in the specific spend information. So this will create a line item that is an expense. So we are going to look for our category, and I believe conference is in here. So under travel expenses, well, there's the conference. We're just going to one conference. The cost is $575. The date for that budget line item will be the first date of the conference. And then you can enter a memo in here. So for work tags in that work tag area, each of us inside of the Workday system has a predefined role. So your cost center, your costing location, your funds, and the PCS code. Those are pieces of information that will be pre-populated. You should not need to add that information. It should already be there. But if you do need to change it, if you're going to travel on behalf of a different area of the college, you can definitely change that information here. You can add it to a project at the college. You can add additional work tags, possibly maybe related to grants. That sounds like a very common piece of information that would need to be added at this point. And Jordan, if this looks good, if there's any other information I missed, please let me know before I click submit.
You're doing great. Thank you.
Okay, super. Yeah, definitely stop me if I misspeak on anything. Okay, so we've got all of our information in, and then we're going to click submit. And this will be sent over to Piper Dog's manager. Once you do that and you click submit, you will be able to go into the expenses hub again from your profile. And then you can take a look over on your left-hand side. You'll be able to see any expense reports that you've submitted. You will be able to see expense transactions, spend authorizations, and any travel profile information you want to set up here. That is optional. And then here is where if you're submitting a expense report for reimbursement, that is where this information will be sent. And I just realized that I submitted an expense for myself. Okay. Now you all know where I do my banking. So I'm going to X out of there. I'm going to go back to Workday.
I'll go ahead and note everyone that the Expense Hub is really going to be your best friend when it comes to travel authorizations and expenses. When she gets back to the home screen, there are other ways that you are able to access those items as well.
So is everything put in separately? Like there's the conference. What about the hotel and the car and like that all is separate items? It's not one combined trip?
When I'll let her finish this, and then So basically, when it comes to the travel authorizations, what we just do is this is just meant for you to get your TA number. The expenses, that's going to be, so for instance, your hotel and stuff like that, that's something that you would put on your reimbursement form. Does that help?
So I'm actually working on one right now,
Okay.
but when I'm setting up my team to travel,
Mm-hmm.
I do the one doc that has the conference, the airfare, the hotel as one item. And then when they get back, if they have any expenses, then I get those. Like I get anything that all of their meals, I get that and I submit those at the end. But the hotel and everything that I'm doing now, don't I have to get that approved too before the conference? Their car and hotel and all of that?
That's what
Okay.
that's what the TA is going to be for.
Yeah.
And
So
they're separate, or are they one lump sum for your TA information? That's what she's asking.
yeah, you just did the conference. What about the car and the hotel and the airline?
Yeah, so we can get back in there, Joy, and I can
Yep.
show you.
Oh, so it
Yeah.
is on the one
Yeah.
document.
Yeah.
Sure. So your
Yeah.
spend authorization can include multiple lines.
Okay. I was like, wait a minute.
No,
Where's
you, yeah,
everything?
you are, yes, awesome. You are correct to point
Okay.
that out. So
And
let's
I
get,
think one other thing, I think the bigger thing, just to confirm for Joy, she's not the traveler.
Right.
She's requesting a TA for other people. She's going to help do reimbursements for other people. That
Correct.
is still acceptable in the new Workday system. You don't have to be the person traveling to get your TA. You don't have to be the person traveling to submit your reimbursements. Am I correct in that thinking?
Correct.
Okay.
Okay. So, but I would still, and I didn't see that and I'll go play for sure after this because I'm in the middle of one right now. But I can put in, these are the 3 team members that are going. These are their names that are going. Does that matter?
Yes, you can put multiple people on one TA just like
Okay.
you do now.
Okay, great. Thank you.
this is a spend authorization or a TA that I created yesterday for Piper Dog. And one thing that happened with this specific issue is an alert came back to the supervisor because I selected a grant that cannot be used. So I want to just briefly show you what that could look like and how to fix that. So we're going to go back in here. I asked for approval on this conference for $575. And we're going to go back in here. I changed the cost center and costing location and all of this code information. And it came back that I had done the wrong grant information. So I'm going to go in here. And something that is kind of a shorthand in the tech world is anytime you see these lines, these 3 lines in a row, that is often called a hamburger. That allows you to change that drop-down information and view all of your options. Then there's this other little box that has 3 dots in a line, and that is often called a Twinkie. So if you ever hear anyone using hamburger and Twinkie, those are just in the tech world shorthand for what these sorts of options look like. So we're just going to change this information and just kind of see if we can get it to go back to be approvable. And if not, we have other examples that we can work from. I don't want to take too much time explaining this, but you would click through here, you would look at approved work tags. It doesn't look like there's any other pieces of information preloaded in the system for this individual. So I'm just going to see if I can X out the additional work tags. And then when I click submit, it's going to send back over to my manager. for approval. And yep, it's giving me an additional error. So anytime you see this pop up in Workday, go ahead and click through. It's still, it's telling me I need a work tag. So this might be an example that we'll have to fix later. Because we do need to move on and we want to make sure that we hit expenses. So we're going to come back over in PiperDoc's profile. We're going to hit Expense Hub under our main menu. So here you have, of course, that create spend authorization or travel authorization area. You also have creating an expense report. This is for any items that you may have already spent and need specific reimbursements back to yourself. So we're going to go ahead and take a look at that process. The first type of expense that we're going to demo is a mileage reimbursement. You have options when you come in here whether to create new. You can copy something that maybe it's the same information. You can pull that information over. Or if you did a spend authorization with your manager and they approved it and it comes back to you, you can also click this information too. But in this instance, we're going to create a new expense report. In the memo line, which is required, we're going to put that we drove to a different campus. Your company is going to be pre-populated. All of us are in the same company. And maybe this travel happened on Monday. The business purpose would be local travel if you drove across town. And then your fund information again is also pre-populated. You can add additional grants and work tags for additional information if you worked for a specific purpose on a specific project or grant. And then once I click OK, I will get to the screen where we'll add the detail. So from here, an expense line is going to be what you incurred for that date. So that was Monday, March 10th. So we're going to click Add. And then for this information, if you already completed the transaction and you have a receipt, like something that you spent money on, you would select a file and add an attachment. For mileage reimbursements, you do not need any attachments. That is not a requirement. So we're going to move forward and we're going to fill out the information at least in the starred required fields. And then our expense item is going to be under travel expenses and mileage reimbursement. So our rate is 0.67 per mile. And here is where you put the number of miles. So I'm going to put that we went 4.5 miles. Once you click outside of this box, it will update the total amount. And then you can put an additional memo here. Again, your funding, costing location, cost center, PCS information will all be defaulted. So this might help you too, Joy, if you're looking at needing additional line items. In all of the Workday screens where you will see expenses, you'll have the ability to add. So if this is your first line, and maybe you also traveled on Tuesday or Wednesday and you need to add additional mileage, you can go ahead and click Add up here. And so this information from Monday was saved. So this new information that is popping in, we can add maybe something for Tuesday. And then we're going to look for that travel expense mileage reimbursement again. Maybe we did 7.5 miles. And this day we also went to and from the SOC multiple times. So that information is also going to reflect in this line item. And then you can continue to add. You can also go back and review Monday's entry. And here you see that the Tuesday entry populated. And then if this is all the line items you have, then you can click submit. And we created a mileage reimbursement. And again, that will be paid back to you automatically through your bank account that is set up within Workday. The same bank account where you receive your pay.
And just know that when you submit this, it's going to go to the signature authorizations. Instead of passing paper around, this is going to go around. So like your supervisor's going to have a dashboard, it's going to have some things on there he or she needs to approve and keep moving. If you're wondering where your reimbursement is, you can look, see where it's stuck, see if we have it, see if it's been processed. You know, you can check your own things and make sure things are moving and you're getting your money.
So with the Seth's question about like if you bought anything while there, is that a separate document then? You can't put it all together anymore?
You can add
No, so I
multiple
believe you can. I mean, I'm sorry, go ahead, KT.
No, you can put multiple things. This isn't like one is just for mileage and
Okay.
one is just for that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
You just
So-
have to say add a new item and pick a different work tag for it.
Okay.
Same
then
thing
you-
with the TA.
And the where you could attach, you could put the because I always when it's travel, I print the Google map with that mileage. I can attach that along with the receipts for any food. Okay, perfect. Thank
Yeah.
you.
I'm going to click to view all of the different spend authorizations that we've done so far. Actually, no, I'm going to go back to expenses. So we're calling it an expense report now. So those are going to be your reimbursement requests. So from here, you can see all the different things and the status of different items that you have submitted. It looks like in here we've got some drafts. These other pieces are waiting for the manager to sign off on. And then I'm going to open this up and I'm going to just double check. It looks like you can call it back and open this back out. I'm going to see if we can, we probably cannot edit, but you can at least review. I wonder if you can take a look at attachments, no attachments. So if you made a mistake, probably touch base with your supervisor, have them send it back to you so that you can make those adjustments and any other, like add receipts, add any other costs for this specific expense report. All right, so the other item I did have for you when we're looking at reimbursements, it's very common, at least in our area, to need something for a meeting or need something for an event. And we may drop in at the grocery store and grab something like coffee cups for that meeting. So if you have that receipt, that's another type of expense, and we can take a look at that. And before I do that, I want to just double check. Does anybody have questions on travel authorizations first or mileage reimbursements? We've got some time.
I just have a quick question. This is Diana.
Yeah, hi.
So each employee would have to do it for themselves then?
Correct, correct. I do believe KT was referring to something else that we could do as well. If you have the ability to enter expenses or travel authorizations on behalf of someone else. Is that correct, KT?
Yeah, we can double check that, but I think that
Okay.
is the case. It's going to then follow. Like if I, you know, if someone did one for me, if I said, Carol, can you enter this for me, though I do my own, it's going to go to my supervisor, Brenda, to approve it. It's not going to go to Carol to me to approve my own because
Mhm.
Carol reports to me. So to my knowledge, yes, you can still do submissions as long as you have the people's as long as you have their access, that you say it's for them.
Okay.
Okay, that was kind of going to be my question too. This is Dewana. The question I was wondering is, when y'all saying create expense report, that's basically going to be the new label for reimbursement, though, right?
Correct.
Is that what you're saying?
Correct.
Okay. And then is that going to still be under for travel and authorization? And for the TA, we still use that same create expense report to
No.
do. Oh,
So to do TAs, that was the first part that we did. You would want to do the create spend authorization through the expense hub.
okay. Spend authorization for TA. Okay.
Correct.
Is that you use that for like if you're doing a non-employee as well?
Correct.
Okay.
Same way you are getting a TA now, you're going to get a spend authorization in this system.
This is Judy. Sometimes my staff, um, they go with students, they're sign language interpreters. So they go like
hmm
to a museum and they have to pay the museum entrance fee. And so they submit their mileage along with the receipt for their entrance fee. Where would they put that entrance fee or that receipt for that? I'm a
That
little,
would, I apologize for interrupting. That would be under your expense report. So with it being under reimbursements, you could just put it as like there should be a way for you to do other. Sarah, are you able to pull that up for me?
Yeah, let's do that. So if you've got a new expense report, so you were saying, Judy, that it's possibly an example would be a museum trip.
yeah, they'll have mileage plus the receipt for the ticket they had to buy to get into the museum, which we reimburse them for.
Okay. So yeah, we'll use create new then. And then once you've done this one time, if you use a lot of that same expense category, you can come in here and copy a previous, click on this little icon, and then just take a look at some of those last expense reports that were submitted for a similar type of purpose. So we'll leave today's date in there. This is going to be local travel. Again, all of your fund costing cost and information will be pre-populated. Click OK, and then I assume once you do the additions, you could do a line for, let's take a look. So here is, someone mentioned car rental earlier, hotel accommodations. Those are all options here as well. And so I feel like we probably have a category that's a spend category for,
There's student activities, or you could do expense other. But I just want to point out, so the first step she did was like, okay, I'm doing an expense report and I'm putting mileage. Then she said add, see, she's
yeah,
adding a second thing to this one submission.
Okay.
let's
So
put
I
an
ha-
open house activity. Okay,
I
so
have a quick
question.
question. Oops, I have a quick question on when you're doing the what basically the TA. Where you entered in an attachment,
hmm
is that basically where the information that generally gets put in now under the travel narrative? that if you've got like a flyer from this conference or whatever,
Correct.
you would need to attach that because they're basically, you don't have a travel narrative thing here now.
So with TAs, you don't necessarily need an attachment. It's nice to have one, but if you want to go ahead and attach that, say you, like she did, say Donald Duck has to go to like the IPP. She uploaded the IPP flyer.
Brochure, whatever, yeah.
Brochure, yes. So yes, you can upload that information in there.
Okay, but it's not mandatory because right now they have to fill out a travel narrative when they're doing the paper form travel authorization. So it's not going to be mandatory that they fill out that little piece of their travel authorization then, correct?
Correct.
Okay. I just want to make sure. So when full-time faculty come to me with questions about what to do and how to do it, I kind of know what to tell them.
And this system, if anything is missing, it's going to give you a hard stop or just a warning. So if there is something that's needed to be attached or a
additional information,
thing that needs to be filled in, it'll say,
okay,
do that one.
Sarah, would you please go back to the TA and show where you would add the hotel and the conference fees and that?
Okay, but before you leave this, so a museum ticket would be under expense item conferences, meetings?
Well, so I actually don't know that that's the case for this specific example, but once we get to the full Workday system that we'll be live with and using, you will have more updated categories. This is just an example for illustration purposes.
Okay.
So, but yeah, very good point. I'm glad you asked about that. So that's why I want you to know if you're in here and experimenting and practicing with your teams, just be aware that all of the additional functionality that we will get with that final version of Workday, it might not all be here yet. But what you could do is notate any categories that you find would be helpful for you, and then we can make sure that they are in that final version, or where to point you to that that spot.
Okay.
Yeah.
Judy, if you're ever questioning something, you could always put it under other.
Mm.
And that way, you know, it's something that I'll review. I review everything before it gets finalized. And if I see something that's wrong, I'll go ahead and tell you what it could be.
Oh, all right. Thank you, Jordan.
Awesome.
And Jordan and the finance guys here have the rights to fix things. So they understand that, you know, you used to have your like 12-digit codes, you know, the location, the this, the cost center, et cetera. Now this system's kind of got these work tags, which are more language than numbers. So we don't expect you to be able to find the right thing the way Darren and Frankie have been visualized how the accounting system is going to work. So they may be changing some things. Jordan may be changing some things. But you can go ahead and always just put other if you can't find something that you think fits.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. So let's just leave for now as a meeting/conference. And I want to show you when you are doing an attachment, I have some receipts. We can add something in here. And then you can see it was successfully uploaded. This error that I got is probably receipt. Yep. So this error should clear because I've got my receipt in there now. And I'm going to go ahead and click add. All right, and so that error left. So if you have an error on a specific line item, it will also show here. So for this line, we can go ahead and input that travel expense, that mileage reimbursement. And let's put 10 miles. And we're gonna say we went to and from the museum. So that is essentially all that's required here to be input. Again, though, if you want additional information for if it's related to a grant or other specific area of the college. You can do that by these selections here. Otherwise, it will go just to your default cost center. So then we've got this cost for the museum. We've got our mileage. Once we're satisfied, and then I'm going to click receipt included. Oh no, actually, the receipt included will be on that $15 museum fee. And it actually clicked it for me, which is excellent. Then again, if you need to start over, if you feel like you just could start fresh, you can just erase this line item and hit the trash can. Other than that, you would hit submit. Okay, so now I heard someone asking about spend authorizations and maybe adding additional lines on a spend authorization. So maybe let's take a quick look at that since we have a few minutes before 2 o'clock. So the setup does look very similar. And then for these spend authorizations or travel authorizations, you won't need any attachments, but you can upload them if you have them. So we'll just put a date in the future and we'll have it be a couple of days. Maybe we're going back to DC. Business purpose will be long distance travel. And then you're going to have those authorization lines. So yeah, if you know you've got a hotel that you need to reserve, or maybe you already did that reservation. You've got a car that you need to reserve. And then you've also got airfare. Here is where you click to add those lines. So maybe let's add a couple. Let's add a travel. Let's add car. And maybe we expect it to be like 85 a day. And we are going to have it for 2 days. But we want it to be 85 a day, I think. And then we'll see if it can give us that total. All right, so we've got our costing information in here, and we are going to hit the plus sign. So we've got our car rental here. We've got our plus sign here. Maybe let's take a look and see if we can put in airfare.
So, Sarah,
yes,
essentially in one authorization or spend authorization, you can say like your whole trip to Minnesota for this conference, car, hotel, food, gas mileage, car rental, like you can just have every little line in one trip.
Yep, absolutely. Absolutely. The other thing that you could do is even if you need to add something later, this is something that is open-ended. You could have your supervisor kick it back to you. And we'll also go over how that appears in Workday. And then you could add an additional line item if needed and send it back to your supervisor again for approval. But that's an amazing question.
So if there was like an unexpected, additional travel while you were there, you could submit the initial flight and car rental, but that additional mileage or that additional day to rent the car, you could add on later in the trip.
Yep. Yep.
Okay.
That's correct. So I'll also show you what that looks like when we get to that supervisor section, because then once the supervisor approves, if we have time, which I think we will, we're going to also show what it looks like when it bounces back to us from the supervisor and they get that approval through, and you can go back in then and add additional information if needed.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. Great question. All right, so I'm going to put airfare here. And then put the ticket cost. The budget date will be the same day. Okay. So this is that additional line. And if we're satisfied, then we don't need to add any additional information. Then we'll click submit.
And these should still be done as soon as possible, not a week before you're going to be traveling, correct?
Yeah,
I
because
don't know what the policy is, but I think that's a great question. KT, maybe KT
I mean,
has the policy.
the same type of timing is required as we currently have. Like if you're wanting to book airfare, you should be doing this, at least 2 weeks out, right? Because airfares jump at 2 weeks.
Yeah. Okay.
So if it's something kind of local and not, well, you don't really need a TA for local travel, but if it's something that doesn't have airfare, but you could probably do that a little later, closer to the date. But yeah, you should still try to be doing this 2 weeks or earlier.
So generally, just basically, as soon as they know they're going to go, they should be doing these, and
Right.
the sooner they do them, the better. Okay.
Right.
I think so. Yeah. Great question. Okay, it looks like I have an error. So I'm going to see what that's all about. Oh, I need the justification. Am I missing the justification? Oh, and here's a link to the expense policy also, Mary. Justification.
The justification is on the right.
Oh, there
doesn't
it
look
is.
like it's a required field, but I
Yeah.
played around with it and it did the same to me. So it looks like it should have
Okay.
a little asterisk next to it.
Okay, it should. It really should. That's interesting. Maybe our final version will have that. Why are we going to DC? Conference. We'll just put conference. Awesome. Thanks, Deanna. I appreciate it. Okay, so now we should be at that point where we can click submit. And it went through. So if you have your screen open, you can check out your spend authorizations, and they're both in progress. Okay, so this is the employee side, the request side. And we'll be moving over to the supervisor side and what that looks like. But are there any initial questions first before we head over there? Any additional questions on submitting, creating, while you've got your experts here?
I have a quick. I'm just curious. I have one report that does travel gas reimbursement once a month, but she normally does 3 months before I submit on the paper. Does this have to be done on a monthly basis then?
No. For what you're talking about, Steve, gas mileage reimbursement.
Exactly. Yeah.
Gas mileage goes up in January, so we like you not to have something from the previous year
Okay.
on this one. Yes, we like things done in a timely fashion, but if you're combining her three, she does the board meeting stuff and she does it once a month and you do
Right.
3 months, that's fine.
Okay.
Okay, I
Thank
have
you.
a question. Oh, sorry.
Hey, I have a question too when you're done.
Yes.
I was just asking does a TA number go out like it does now, or is it just going to be that you see that it's been approved?
Lord, that is an awesome question. So once that authorization or the expense report gets sent over to your supervisor and they respond, from your profile, you'll be able to see I know there's a name for it. Jordan, help me out. There's a number that will come back to you so that you can take that information and complete an expense report based off of that authorization.
Correct.
Okay,
It
so
would be the travel auth number.
So Jordan, you've
Thank you.
done this testing. When you've proxied in and created a travel auth, she's asking, am I going to get an email or am I going to get a notice in my Workday, dashboard? Like, hey, this is your travel, you have these travel auth numbers.
You'll get a notification in your Workday.
Okay.
Okay.
Oh, that was my question too. So basically, we don't get an email, we get a notification. Once we send it to our supervisor, it's going to automatically send the TA number to us directly.
Correct.
Okay.
Okay,
Thank
and then
you.
there'll be a space on when you go in and do your expenses, your reimbursement, you'll put that number on there. Okay.
Right.
Just like you do now.
Yeah.
And what's really great about Workday is it will populate that information automatically for you. So when we get there, we'll show you how that looks. Because I know that it's going to be, of course, a different process now. And I think that that's going to be a key piece of information that you'll want to check out in the system.
Sarah?
Yes.
This is Rose in Grant Accounting. I just wanted to say, somebody had a comment earlier about the word other as picking as a category like travel or other or equipment. Other is not like we would consider in the English language anything else or miscellaneous. It's very specific. It hits specific line items on each grant. So if you think you don't know where to put it, let me just put it to miscellaneous. Everything under it hits a specific line item. You have to know what line item you're hitting. So it's not just a generic word of, I don't know where to put it.
Yeah, like a catch-all.
No, it's not. It's not. And
Yeah.
I found that out the hard way by redoing my own stuff. So
Okay, Rose, very helpful to know. We love that insight. So the other piece of information that will come from your supervisor is cross-checking those pieces of information. So I think we should head over there. I'm going to stop as Piper, and I'm going to go in as his manager or supervisor. So once we are in, those of you who have direct reports, once you start to receive these items, they will appear right in your homepage dashboard when you open Workday. They will be in your task field right up front. There are some other ways that you can review your team information. You could use team management. Let's take a quick look and see what that looks like. And then you could also come over to this menu off to the side and view your organization's requisitions, any other pieces of information related to expenses. So let's take a look at the expense hub. And then also this supervisor will, because they're a supervisor and because they're also just general Workday users, we also have the ability to create expense reports and spend authorizations that go to their manager as well. But I'm going to go back to the home page. Once you're here, now there are 12 tasks sitting here and waiting for action. This is the spend authorization that we completed for airfare and car rental. And so you can take a view here. This is sort of like your inbox. just take a look here, see if there's any red flags popping up. This is that one turned yellow because I had the wrong grant information in there. This is an expense report that we created the other day for mileage. And then the spend authorization here at the top. I'm going to go ahead and just take a quick look at an expense report. So this was the one where we had a mileage reimbursement and a meeting or conference. If this is something that looks good to you, you can go ahead and click approve. You can also send back. And then clicking that little Twinkie, you can deny it. You can close it out. You can add approvers. So I think what we'll go ahead and do is hit approve. Once we review all of that information, we'll also want to take a look at the expense lines and slide this bar over and take a look at the different work tags. And work tags are essentially pieces of information that are attached to a transaction that tell where it's going to get recorded. So making sure that cost centers are correct, the fund is correct, department is correct. And if it all looks correct, then you hit approve. And then same for this spend authorization, this travel authorization. So we have the ability to take a look at each line item. So this has that line item detail, all the different categories, the dates. And then once we approve this, we'll also be able to see it from the requester side. I'm going to go ahead and hit approve on that. Okay, so once we hit approve, we can view details. And then this will show more information and where it is at in process. And then click done once that is over. The other thing you can do, if there's something that you are working on in Workday and maybe you can't remember where to find that screen, or you get down the road of doing an expense report, but you want to get back to the expenses hub, then you can also use this search bar here. And so under expenses, when you're a supervisor, you have a lot of different categories that you can choose from that will give you pieces of information on different expenses that you either approved or are in process for your team, for your organization. So I'm going to hit expense management. So unfortunately, this area does not have a place where there are reports that are already set up, but you should be able to, with our final live version, you should be able to get in here and look at reports for your downline team. So we're going to go back to the home screen. When you're in Workday, this menu is key. Your home page are key. And then any questions we have so far on the supervisor side. It's fairly straightforward, but we can also take a look and drill down into specific expenses if anyone has questions.
I have a question.
Sure.
So when my team travels, when they come back, I get all their receipts and I get them all in order and put them over there. Am I still going to be able to do that? Because you said something about there's an account there for them to get reimbursed.
Right.
Or
So
do they have to do it?
essentially, they're probably going to need to do it. That was one question that we have as our main takeaway that KT made reference to as well is, double checking if you have the ability to take that action on behalf of your workers. That's a really, really good question, and we want to define that and make sure everyone has accurate information. But what we can do from here, since we approve some expenses, we can go back in as the worker and take a look at creating an expense report then that relates to that travel that was taken. Do you have anything else to add there, Katie, for that question?
I am emailing right now just to triple check, so I'll get an answer back in this call,
Awesome.
just so I can triple check it.
Okay, awesome.
Okay.
Thank you.
Hey,
Sarah?
Sarah, I have a real quick question on the dashboard.
Yes.
So right now, to find those different categories, I'm doing a search because my menu does not look as robust as yours.
Okay.
And those items are not even populating in my test, in my training site. So I'm adding them. When we go live, will these be added to our, do we need to add them to our dashboard on the menu, or will they be automatically available for staff?
There are some that are defaulted. I will tell you, I have taken a look at some of those environments that are in production. Some of these will be pre-populated for you. So those very common ones, your benefits, time and absence. And I looked at my profile and I did see that expenses and reimbursements had been defaulted on my top apps on the right-hand side.
Yeah, it's not defaulted for me.
Okay.
So I just want to make sure that I can provide some support for staff if like me, it's not there.
Okay.
So that they know where to find it or how to add it if it is not.
Okay. What I'm gonna do.
And I added it. That's not a problem. But
Okay.
just as an FYI, I don't want us to assume that they're there because that'll create maybe some confusion and phone calls.
Okay. I definitely see what you're saying about, yeah, making sure we all have that same information. So what we have are a couple of job aids from today that you'll be able to take, review, download, and look at with your team. I will also make sure that these are included in the takeaway information in the email. So each of these job aids that we have for these tasks do show how to go through that process, Tammy, of, okay, I want this app. I want it to be easily accessible. I want it on my home screen. And it will take you through this process of adding it and saving it. And so you'll click through and you'll plus it, and then it'll be in your homepage. And there will be consistency. So I know it's pretty common when we have like new technologies. There will be consistency though in what everyone's able to see, especially for these super important categories like expenses and reimbursements, and then also that the time off and the pay and benefits, like all of those really important functions and apps are universally there for all of us. So does that answer your question, Tammy? Did I get to all of that?
Yes, it does. One thing I just want to note on there is, and I'm assuming the go live will have those drop downs, but right now they do not exist on mine. So I have to go to find and then type in spend authorization, create spend. I have to type in what I'm looking for. Not there. I have to do it under the
menu.
What I'm like, I don't have a drop down there in your menu.
Okay.
When you go to add, click your add button. Yep. Okay, so that's what I get to.
Okay. And does it work for you?
It does. I just have to know the right terminology to ask for it.
Yeah. Okay.
Does that make sense? So it
Yeah.
goes back to what Seth had mentioned about just I bet on your training you have that key, but Seth had mentioned, expense report equals reimbursement, spend authorization equals TA. So, if there's maybe that menu so people can start adding them if they don't automatically populate.
Okay.
There we go. But it's good. This is good and we're at a good place. I just
Good.
am thinking about the questions I'm going to get asked.
Yeah.
I actually had a conversation with Bob Goman about this other because my menu is like, there's things I'm missing, and I didn't. That's kind of literally my exact question was, how do I know what to look for if I don't know what to look for? But I just assumed when we go to live, I'll start seeing a lot more stuff.
So, yeah, this is really, I want to just double check something. Because this is a profile that has been used a lot to test from, a lot of these things are already added. So once you get there, if it's early on and you haven't really used your own profile in a while, there may not be a lot that's here. These are all sort of saved and flagged. And what this really is a tool that will help you customize your dashboard. And I'm going to double check. I'm going to make a note on this. I believe we have a training document that we can pull from our Workday kit that discusses customizing your dashboard, because that's really kind of what we're talking about. And within that, we really should have a good set of tools that we can list out for folks that are potential things that you could add as your applications here. So I'm putting that down as another takeaway for us.
Sarah, if there's time toward the end of the meeting, would you be able to have Jordan walk through this foundation process? I haven't seen it and I'd like to be able to understand it. We have a completely separate financial system and we've got over 200 funds that we reimburse the college for. So that would be helpful if at the end we could do that.
Okay.
I have a 3:00 meeting, so.
Just a quick question, Amy. I saw your email, and Jordan, is there an answer to that quickly? I know Brenda's been talking about this in the background, but if you're doing a travel for Amy, is she going to be in this new system? Because they use
No.
Black Cloud and all that stuff?
Yeah, it can't be. We have it separate. Our financials are separate. So if
You're
we can
on
do that
mute,
at the
Jordan.
end.
I don't know if Jordan's talking.
Well, I think it's showing that he's not muted, actually.
I heard him talking, but through my door, I couldn't hear him on this. Okay, go ahead, Amy. We do have to have that.
Yeah.
I know Brenda's having those conversations, but
Well, not with
I just
me.
keep hearing, well, no, down here about like,
Right.
not, she'll say, not foundation though, not
Yeah.
foundation though.
Perfect.
So I just want to make sure that we still process your expense reports, but where are we doing it?
Yeah.
Right.
Let's
Can
go
you hear
ahead
me?
and have
Now
that
I can
as
hear you,
all-
Jordan. I can hear you.
Oh, good. Go
Okay,
ahead, Jordan.
so yes, that is actually something we're still working with Brenda with. So as far as I know, your process does not change. So anything with like grants and foundation, you still have that approval process before it even gets to me.
But
So
it won't be done in Workday, she's saying. Like Jordan is still running the whole different system for like doing the student refunds in colleague. Like that's not moving to Workday for another couple of years. So they're not involved in this, like for those kind of reimbursements.
So it'll be the
student
same.
refunds.
So Cindy can know that she just follows the same procedure she always has.
yes, it's
Thank
still
you.
going to be the same procedure.
Yeah. But
So
we'll
then
make sure
also-
Brenda addresses
Yeah.
it with you.
When we get to talking about those specific needs too, Amy, okay, so the business office trainings, we've got these first two set up, And we're going over some, yeah, very specific tasks. And we do know that in each area, there are going to be some different needs. I think this is a big enough one where we'll probably want to set up a special session. Okay, thumbs up. I like it. I like it. Let's do it. I will get in touch with you after this and we'll talk about what that can look like. Because so we have these job aids and they're very general to the all college audience and what most of us will be doing in the system. However, for your area, I know that grants and foundation will probably need some specific examples in their own job aid document that you can refer to. And yeah, let's work on that. All right, awesome. Okay, so I want to see if we are taking a look here at our training environment and we're in the supervisor view. Is there anything that anyone else would like to see with regard to what the supervisor screens can do before we move back over to creating an expense report from our approved travel authorization? Is there any other questions about being a supervisor in Workday?
I have a question. This is
Okay.
Judy. So I have employees that travel twice a week, so they're putting separate expense reports in for their travel, right? Their mileage.
Okay.
And so do those have to be approved separately?
Yes, if they create a separate expense report for each time they travel, it will be a separate approval. Or you could work something out with them if they want to submit it weekly, or if it's better for them to submit it daily. That would be something that you could work out with them, as long as it's within the overall expenses, yeah, policy.
Is it possible to put mileage for more than one day on one expense report?
Yes.
Yes.
Oh, how do we do that?
There's an add-on feature.
Mhm.
Sarah, did you want to open it back up for us? I'm
Yeah,
sorry.
let's do that. We
That
will
would be
go,
more convenient for my staff.
yeah. So I'm going to go back in as the worker. Okay, so when we were in, so here's his expense hub that is saved. It
Okay.
also could be accessed through the menu, but let's go to the expenses hub. So you're talking about a mileage reimbursement.
Yes.
So we'll use the expense report feature. And then, yes, so let's call this just weekly mileage or something like that. We're going to create new. And then we're going to, maybe our start date again is Monday. Our business purpose is local travel. So this is your setup screen. And then once we click OK, we'll get to that additional screen where we can insert line items. So if this all looks correct as far as the cost center and the fund, we'll click OK. And then here's where you're going to add expense lines. So we're going to add one for Monday. So your travel is mileage reimbursement. And maybe on Monday you did 5 miles. And what's a common place that they go, Judy? I know you said museum earlier, but is there any other common places that they're traveling to?
Not where they get tickets and have to be reimbursed. It's usually mainly that. Or if they, well, if they have to use a parking garage, we will reimburse that too.
Okay. Okay. So they could include that along with their mileage. They could include that as a line item in this expense report too. So we'll take a look though. I'll make sure that we go over that. So we're going to call this to and from the museum. And I'm having trouble spelling today. Okay, so all of this is your default fund information. If this looks good, we'll hit add. So that add button is always going to be that upper left. And then you'll see this is your day, Monday. So let's do an entry for Tuesday. And Tuesday, maybe they had to use the parking garage. I know that I saw it here. Could be in a different category. Maybe let's put it in, just for the sake of an example, let's put it in as this other type of spend. So maybe the ticket was $5.
Okay.
I think we'll want to define that because you'll need that going forward, where that specific line item is for if they get a ticket or if there's parking fees or things like that. And then this is where you can take your receipt again for that ticket. And I'm going to just experiment here because last time we did a select file. This time, let's just drag and drop over. And then it uploaded. So you've got your different lines here. And then again, if you need to add something else. So let's say on Tuesday, you also had mileage. You could add mileage here as well and go through those same steps. Continuing to add as long as, like if it's something you worked out with your downline staff where you want them to submit weekly or bi-weekly, they can add it all right here and then continue. The other thing you can do, because the system is so flexible, you could have them add it regularly, like maybe daily, and then just save it here. Click save for later, and you can come back to that same report, and they don't have to start over if they need to add additional lines.
Okay.
Does this help?
Yeah, that helps a lot. Thank you.
Awesome. Yeah, absolutely. I'm just gonna click save for later because I wanted to see if we could go back and we're going to edit this expense report. So I'm going to look at view expense reports. Actually, nope, I'm going to go back to spend authorizations, I think, because I believe we received something back from our supervisor. So here is this spend authorization code. Someone was asking about that earlier. It's associated every time you do that creation. And then when we are done with that travel, you should be able to come here and click Create New Expense Report from Spend Authorization. Clicking this little hamburger will let you expand. And now it's telling me no items, but that is wrong. So I just want you to know this is where you would go, or where your employee would go to create that new expense report from the spend authorization. But I'm wondering if we can, we'll probably play around with this a little bit more, but we could probably search by that spend authorization number to see if we could pull that in. But so far, it's not letting me. And it could honestly be because it's the training environment and not the live environment. So are there any other questions here about the expenses, authorizations, things like that?
I wanted to just address Amy. I walked out, Brenda's not in, but I got Darren. Darren confirmed, Amy, yes, when you need to do TAs, which are now called spend authorizations, you will do them in Workday. When you need to do a reimbursement, even though your foundation and that money is in a separate system, you will do it in Workday. He is going to give you the right, he's going to give you the correct number, work tags, whatever, that's going to designate your stuff to route the way it needs to. So it will ultimately end up however the finances go, like your general fund and your other or whatever, but it will be done in, and Brenda has joined the call, it will be done in Workday. Because this is a routing system. This is not your financial accounting final system. Does that sound?
No. Well, if we can get a meeting scheduled, I think that
Yes.
would be best. I'd appreciate it. Thanks.
Sure. So
Yeah.
Brenda's
I
on the
just can't-
call.
Are
She's
you
hearing you.
talking about when you're getting reimbursed personally, Amy, and it's hitting the college general account?
No, like
You're
Cindy
talking
Sarmiento.
about the process that we do now for
Like Cindy Sarmiento's on this call and she gets reimbursed from our donor funds. That's what I'm talking about.
okay.
Yeah, let's get a
So Brenda's aware of it. She's on the
Yeah.
call. Darren's
Yeah.
aware of it. I just talked to him.
Okay.
We'll get with you. And you had sent that email, Amy, so we'll get one.
Okay.
Yep.
Awesome. Appreciate it. All right. So I want to just also briefly go over, I'm going to take that back off. I want to briefly go over where to go for additional resources. We have within Unity, we have some sites set up that I want to point everyone to. Hopefully by now you're familiar with Workday training and resources. A vast majority of these resources have been created and trained by the training and development team. Amazing catalog of resources here. And we do also have some additional business office information that is here for you to begin taking a look at. So for expenses and reimbursement, here is the documentation and all the processes we talked about today. And then next time we're going to touch base on just some more additional tasks that you will do for requisitions and invoicing and additional procurement items. So those will live here as well. A couple are already available. And then also you can check out our modernization SharePoint for Workday modernization. This is where we try to keep the whole college informed on anything that is upcoming with Workday, our progress. We have a lot of really helpful resources here for you to share with your teams. And we are also always looking for ways to help the college learn more. So I'm going to give you some additional information on. So as a team, we have our Q&A set up and we're continuously refreshing and adding to our catalog of frequently asked questions. So this will also be included in information that we'll send out. We have our Ask a Question form available and our team receives that information. We sift through it and we send it to the right individuals to help answer your question directly, whether it is human resources, whether it's the IT team. We really try to do that and be quick and responsive and make sure you get the information that you're looking for. So from this meeting, I have a few notes from hot topics that you all brought up, which are amazing, and we love hearing all of your questions. So we're going to, over the next week, we're going to put together the business office FAQs, and that will be specifically talking about reimbursements. I heard people asking about, yeah, how often should we submit these? And how do I help my team add things to the dashboard? Those are kinds of pieces of information that we want to keep everyone informed on. And so we'll be putting together those. Please feel free to email us at our Workday at MCC at mccneb.edu. So this is how you can also reach us in addition to this Ask a Question form. Those are great ways to get in touch. And I'd love to receive some business office emails if you've got some burning questions and you didn't have an opportunity to ask them today. So then the other thing you can check out is our modernization hub. And this is modernization overall, and including Workday. So information that we have here is really all about how are we modernizing and bringing in new tools to help our jobs and make things easier for us. I guarantee I have been a Workday user in the past for different jobs, and it is really a unique resource, and it does make things smoother. It just really is time consuming to learn about all these new features because there really is a lot of things it can do for you and your teams. And so that's why we also appreciate your attendance at these events. And anything else? Can I answer any other questions or triage them to the right people?
Sarah, this may be an offline discussion, but one of the things Deanna mentioned was that the default cost center is actually an NDE adult education grant that does not allow travel, and so we probably need to change the default cost center.
Yeah, that'll be a question. That'll be a really good question for the business office team and for their managers to coordinate with IT to make sure that everyone is classified appropriately. That's definitely a really important one. So that'll be something that they'll need as a takeaway too, Tammy.
That is set up inside the grant, Tammy, if travel isn't allowed. Is that what you're asking?
No, actually, no. So all the expense reports are set up to go to 75,300, which is a Nebraska Department of Education WIOA Title II grant that does not authorize travel. But what I'm saying is and I know we're still in the trial, I know we're still in training, but when we go live, the default should not be the adult education grant. Because us as cost managers, we can change that.
Right.
If it slips through, why wouldn't
Okay.
we set it up at the beginning?
So
Right.
you're saying the default for the travel reimbursement is set up incorrectly.
Yeah.
Okay.
Not their pay or anything, but some of those defaults aren't set up
Okay.
with the right one. So
We'll look at that, Tammy, because that should be like 19300 or something like that.
agreed.
Not 75,300. So I don't know.
Agreed. I just would hate for one to slip through, Rose.
Oh, I know.
Get it. I get it. No, I get it.
Yep.
I get it. So we probably set defaults up just for the travel reimbursements, Jordan. Is that how that worked? Or is it stemming from someplace else?
As far as I know, it's just default. Again, it is something that is able to be changed. So
Okay.
Tammy, did you log into your,
Mm-hmm.
and it's automatically going to that default one for you?
It is going there for Deanna, and let me look at mine and double check mine. I'm logged into my training now too, but let me.
I mean, it may be, I mean, we did have to, for each cost center and each grant, you had to set up defaults and
Yeah.
allowed. So yeah, just we'll get with you, Tammy. Send that to Jordan and copy me on it, and we'll get it figured out.
Good deal. We'll do.
Okay.
Thank
All
you,
right.
guys.
Thank you for catching that.
Thank you. Yeah. All right. So I do want to let everyone know that this is our agenda for next session for next Thursday. I hope you were all set up. If not, feel free to check us out on Unity. We've got the invite there. We've also sent it out through email. And we really want you to take advantage of these sessions. However, if you do not have these sessions on your calendar and you want them on there, definitely follow our links, but also know that this is being recorded. So we'll have those recordings accessible and available to everyone at the college as well. So you can sign up here. You can sign up through the email that we sent out. If you don't have either, please message me. I will point you to the right direction. Does anyone have any additional questions?
And I just wanted to say on when the next session is happening, that create a requisition, that is the whole PO process. So that's going to take you all the way till you get your PO.
Okay.
Awesome. This is Kelly. You know how you did the point of pay or period of activity pay in the like the printout for us for the associates?
Yes,
with the
correct.
Screenshots and stuff. Is that kind of what you're gonna do for this as well?
Correct. So just to
Are you doing something like
review.
that for this?
Yep. So we do have job aids on all these tasks for sure, Kelly. Thanks for
Okay.
asking. So yeah, so these are available. I know we've shared a ton of information, but I will also, yeah, I'll lay that out for you too in our wrap-up email. So
Okay.
yes, we've got this job aid that is specific to creating expense reports and travel authorizations, and it is living currently on. Make sure I've got the right, here it is. Workday training and resources on Unity. And these are all PDFs that are available for you to download as well. Right.
Okay, yeah, because there were some more extra terms that were not on the original sheet of, or vocabulary.
We have some new terms. That's true.
So I was like, yeah, okay, I don't remember seeing that, so.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, like I said, I'm a visual person, so.
Yes, definitely.
I appreciate all the hard work that you've been putting into this. It really helps.
Good, absolutely.
A lot.
Happy to help and be a resource. And for sure, feel free to always reach out and ask questions.
Great, thank you
Is
so
definitely,
much.
yeah, thank you. Okay, any other questions? We still have time. We've got about 15 minutes. Here's some additional links to our Workday training and resources that I showed within our links as well.
Sarah?
Yes.
There are some questions in the chat that I would like to see addressed.
Let me check it out here. Apologies, when I am presenting, it is not always, oh man, you all have been busy. Look at you. Okay. Okay, I'm going to start from the bottom.
Yes.
All right. So will assistants be completing reimbursements for supervisors? So that is a big takeaway. Definitely excellent question. That is a takeaway that KT had that she's going to make sure and answer and get some good information around how we would possibly go in and be able to complete tasks for other people in Workday. Workday also, I believe, calls that delegations. We will answer that. That's a really great question. Also, default cost centers. Oh, Tammy, that was you. I hope you got what you needed. And then, how soon will the video be available? Today. So I'm going to send all of this information out. I will have a link to the recording. You can listen to that, share it with your teams, and it will be accessible to everyone. All right. I see another question on, where did it go? Okay. Spend authorizations. Where did that go? Yes, spend authorization. Do that before the expense report, but not necessarily for mileage. You can do an expense report for mileage right away, but you can also include it later on, once you are done with that travel and your spend authorization has been approved, and you can create that expense report later. But you can also just create an expense report for mileage. You could go in as soon as Workday is available. You could go in and submit a mileage reimbursement for that day if you need to. Okay, any other questions? Let's see. Your menu has nothing. Okay, we will troubleshoot this. I am not sure why that is the case, but we definitely want to troubleshoot that and make sure we have information in your menus that you can choose from, and you don't have to just use the search bar. Kind of a little bit of a question mark what the final version of Workday will look like, but there should be a lot more options. We are using training data, so we are just a little bit limited. But yes, amazing question. Expense report equals reimbursement. Yes. Spend authorization equals TA. Yes, correct. All right. Can we put more than one team member on a spend authorization? Okay, I think that is probably something that we didn't fully answer yet. Is that correct, Jordan? KT?
Have you tested that? My opinion is yes, you can have multiple people on one TA, but have you tested that?
I have not tested that scenario yet.
Okay, you've got to test to make sure we can add more than one person like we can right now.
Yep, I'm doing it right now.
Okay.
Okay, that's a great question for our FAQs. We'll make sure that we have our FAQs updated for the business
And the
office.
same thing for that other question. I'm just confirming that we can have someone else do this work for someone. Spend authorizations and reimbursements. I've sent the email. We will confirm that and how you do that.
Awesome. All right, I think we answered this. Yeah. Are there any questions from the chat that I have not gotten to? I will also be reviewing the chat. I get a readout of all of the questions or comments that you've put into chat. So I will pull that readout and see if there's anything else that we have missed.
Well, I might have missed it. What about the student travel? How do we put the student travel in? The same way?
Same way, but we're also verifying if you can add additional people to one expense report, spend authorization. We'll definitely need to define more in detail how that will work once we're live.
I mean, usually just for your students, like the person that's taking them is incurring the expenses, right? The student themselves are not. But you want to make sure you have their names on the TA for the person who's going to submit.
So on mine, I've had to do some for some VACA students when they went to Vegas and they received an award. I did the hotel expenses and things like that. And then they got approval for like a meal expense.
Okay.
And it was like a thing between the foundation. Bob had money in the foundation account, and then we filled out the reimbursement form. So I didn't know how that all works now.
Well, let's just say it's gonna work, but since it's a pretty unique situation, we'll probably be hand in hand with you on how it's working, how we
So
interim.
to answer the question, if you can add more than one person to the spend authorization, just from going through it, it is not letting me. That is something that we could possibly look into. Um, I will work with AVAP in terms of that.
So we have our call with them on Monday. So that, and then the question that I just CC'd you on about how do people do this for their other people?
Okay.
I think you should be able to delegate, set
Right.
it up as a delegate. Yeah.
And having more than one person on a TA, I think will help us also manage travel authorizations so that we can also track it all the way through. I
Yeah.
think it would be helpful. So thank you for following up on that, Jordan. And
Yeah, thank you.
And I'm willing to volunteer. We're going to a conference at the end of the month, and there's 4 of us going. I think we're all on one TA, so feel free to use us as guinea pigs.
That's fantastic. Okay. Let's do it. Let's do it. I'd like to see that. Although I do want to reiterate, April 1 is the day that business office functions are live. So can you wait till April 1?
We leave March 30th and we return April 2nd.
Okay.
James, what you want to do?
So
Just go
haven't
ahead.
you already done your spend authorization,
Yeah, we already have
James?
a
Because you should have.
we already have a TA number. But I was
Okay.
Oh, you
wondering
do?
that
Okay.
question- yeah, about having 2 on the same because we'll have our reimbursements that we'll turn in when we get back and all that good stuff. But
Okay.
and if we're not a good, case study for this one, we'll do it for the next
Well,
one.
your expense reimbursements will have to be separate if it's 2 different people getting reimbursed. I mean,
Right.
yeah, okay.
Very nice. We still have 7 minutes.
Oh, Sarah, I have a question.
Okay, Judy.
And I'm sorry if this is a dumb question, but on the expense reports, just for mileage or museum tickets or parking garage, so they can do like a week at a time is what I'll ask them to do. And then, so I'll be able to see all those expenses. And then do I just approve all of the days in the week all at once?
Correct.
Oh, okay. I can do that. All right.
Yep. So, and then it'll come over as one
Okay.
expense report. And then within that task, I'll just show you here really quick since we have the time. We're going to go back in to the training environment. And I apologize, I don't know why my computer is so slow today. So you'll come to your screen, essentially. And our supervisor is we're going to go in as Donald. Okay, so within your tasks right up front, click go to my tasks. And we do have a lot of example expense reports to take a look at. So here is one that I did that has multiple days of mileage reimbursement. So when you're over here, you'll click on this task, kind of like your email inbox, really. So you'll look over here on your left side and activate whichever expense report you're needing to view. And then you'll be able to look at each of the expense lines that are inside of that expense report. And then as you click this approve button, it'll approve the whole thing. If anything doesn't look right, maybe they didn't have the right cost center or fund, then we would send it back to them to correct.
Individually?
This will
Whole
send the
thing.
whole, and actually you can enter your comment. So if their first line is fine, but their second line needs to be corrected, you could put a note in here, correct line number 2, and then click send it back.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then, oh, I just lost my train of thought. What does PCS mean?
I believe we have some experts who could answer that for us.
It should populate for you. PCS code is a program classification structure. So it's something that we do for the state. So it's it's like area that it's benefiting. So it's instruction, academic affairs. It's not the type of purchase. It's a different breakout that we have to do for the state, but it should auto populate for you.
Oh, okay. Thank you, Brenda.
Yeah.
Yep.
Do I have to put, or does the employee have to put a comment for why they're traveling each time they travel? Because they're all traveling to do interpreting. Always.
I mean, that's a really great question. I think that there was one field we found that we needed a reason, then it wouldn't let us advance. But for the most part, those are optional fields. And if there is something that is required in there in order to move forward, then you will error out and you'll need to maybe insert something in that line. However, majority of the time, like this comment field is not required, but it's probably a best practice if especially if maybe it's a one-off travel situation and you need to know the reason or you're not expecting it. But I think that's something you could probably work out
Okay.
within your team.
Yeah, as long as it's optional, that's good. So like if they have a museum trip and they forgot to tell me, they could put that in the comment.
True.
Okay.
I mean,
that's correct.
More information on my behalf is always better. So, if it's not too much of an effort for them to put in interpreting, that's,
If that's the way you want it, Brenda, I'll tell them they have
yeah.
to do it.
I mean, it's probably best that we have the information just so that we know what they were doing with that travel in case we were ever asked.
Oh, okay.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Brenda, thank you. I'm so glad you were able to join today. All right,
And
we have 2 minutes.
FYI, Jordan is just dropping off because he's going on with the consultants right now to address the couple questions that are hanging, so everybody will hear quickly.
Yeah, we should get some quick, they are very quick. We should be able to get some good feedback soon. All right, well, if there are no other questions, I hope you all have a great rest of your Thursday. Thank you.
Thank you.